be something just as simple as psychologically you need to have contact with people. Okay, but in the end, like I said, if you want to break it down to what life really is, this is life, the cell. And in order to truly understand and appreciate a complex topic such as anatomy and physiology, this is something you guys need to think about. Okay, you need to think about things like this, because then it'll make it easier to understand how the body works, why these separate tissues and organs have their functions, what gives these tissues and organs their functions, the cells. All right, and also this is important to know and understand because, realistically, if you want to understand diseases, you have to understand cells and their activity. Because how are you going to understand what goes wrong with an organ if you don't understand what occurs at the cellular level, the cellular mechanics of disease? All right, and how are you going to understand how different molecules are put together without a good understanding of general chemistry? And how the transport and movements of molecules without an understanding of physics. Okay, so make sure before you guys get into studying topics like anatomy and physiology, make sure that you take a look at these different these different things, these different ideas. All right, make sure you're prepared for something like this. You're prepared to ask these tough questions and also find answers for them. Okay. And one more thing I wanted to discuss as well. So basically, great. We basically defined where life comes from. We discussed that life comes from cells, the sum of cellular activity. Basically, that's all life is just a complex set of chemical reactions that keep us alive. Okay, but what do these cells do that make us unique as living organisms? Okay, one, we started out with cells. Okay. Two, metabolism. Okay, metabolism. Whenever I ask people what metabolism is, I get a very common response: breaking down calories, digesting the food that you eat, which is not an incorrect way to think, but there's more to metabolism than just burning calories. All right, metabolism is basically the sum of all chemical reactions in the body. Okay, and there are two different types of chemical reactions. There are chemical reactions that are designed to build, and chemical reactions that are designed to break. Okay, there are synthesis reactions that occur, the building aspect or the anabolic aspect of our metabolism, and then we've got what are called decomposition reactions, which is basically the breaking or the catabolic aspect of our metabolism. So anabolic means synthesize, to form chemical bonds, to take smaller molecules, join them together to make larger molecules. And decomposition is breaking chemical bonds, catabolism, to release energy and, to make molecules smaller. Okay? And then the most common type of reaction that occurs in the body is a combination of both, is what we call exchange reaction. Okay, where we break molecules apart, and then the parts of those molecules join together in different fashions, in different arrays. They exchange their parts. Okay, that's by far the most common type of reaction that occurs. So metabolism, is a big part of life. We have to be able to store energy. We have to be able to build the components we need for life, and at the same time, we need to utilize energy by breaking molecules, or we need to get rid of old parts and break them down. Okay, so metabolism is a part of life. Okay, excretion. Okay, we have to, excretion. We have to be able to eliminate waste wherever there's metabolism. Okay, especially wherever there's a decomposition aspect of metabolism, you are going to develop waste products. Okay, and we can sit here and list, tons and tons of waste in the body, but the most common waste you probably think of is carbon dioxide, which we have to breathe out. So we use the respiratory system to eliminate a very common type of waste. All right, then there are other waste that we use our kidneys to eliminate. Okay, so we have to be able to excrete and eliminate waste. Okay, as a living organism, we need to have some kind of movement occur. Okay, we have to have some kind of movement occur. We have to be able to move to eat, to avoid prey. Remember, I'm not just talking about humans, I'm talking about everything that's living. Or we have to figure out some way to draw life into us. Okay? But regardless, we need to move to stay alive. Another reason for movement, okay, another reason for movement is driving blood flow. Us as a complex organism, we have circulatory systems, okay? And we need to be able to move blood around. If we're unable to move blood around the body, we're unable to transport nutrients to our tissues. We're unable to eliminate waste from our tissues and our body. Okay, so movement isn't just about getting food out of the fridge or running away from a predatory animal. Movement is about circulating molecules around the body to stay alive as well. Pressure. Okay, pressures. We have to, we utilize pressures in the body for exchange purposes. Okay, there has to be some kind of pressure taking place, whether it's from our environment or from within us. Okay, but you guys are familiar with blood pressure. You only hear people talk about blood pressure in a negative context, but without blood pressure, you'd be dead because you wouldn't be able to circulate. Blood to your living tissues, and then you would just accumulate waste products in your tissues and die. You wouldn't be able to deliver oxygen to your tissues, and you would die. We need pressure. All right, we need to be able to circulate blood to the kidneys so we can filter our blood and make urine for those, so we can eliminate waste. Again, because if we're unable to excrete waste and accumulate them, we die. Okay. Reproduction. That's kind of fairly self-explanatory in its own right, but if an organism loses its ability to reproduce, it loses its ability to stay alive. It loses its ability to stick around as a species. All right, and for the most part, you really don't hear about organisms just stopping reproducing, as a whole. But typically what happens is, and you hear about this more with animals, is they are hunted out, faster than they can reproduce. That's why some animals are endangered. Okay, especially big mammals like us. Think about why the panda bear is is in trouble. Okay, yes, poaching is a problem. People do poach them, and it's not right. Okay, but at the same time, think about how long it takes for that animal to reach sexual maturity. Think about how long it takes us as an animal to reach sexual maturity. When do we hit sexual maturity, or at least when do we start? I'm speaking this from a purely physiologic standpoint, but we start when we hit puberty. It could take almost a decade for a human to hit puberty. Right? Now think about we just haven't really been threatened enough yet, but think about what would happen if some major pandemic or some major event took place to where we as a species started dying off faster than we could reproduce. That's not going to be good. And last but not least, we need, another part of life is evolution. Okay, things change. Okay, things change. Evolution is just about change, is all it is. Okay, whether it's predictable or whether it's stochastic and random, evolution does occur. Right? Whenever, when you're talking about making new generations of an organism, what is reproduction? Reproduction is basically mixing of genetic material, basically making new genetic material. Okay, whether it's through sexual or asexual reproduction. Okay, us as humans, we use sexual reproduction. That allows for a lot of genetic diversity because we can reproduce, because that us as humans are a diverse species, and as a result, there's a lot, we mix a lot of our genetics together, which is good because that allows for a lot of variety. That allows for a lot of change. There's a lot of potential for change there. Okay. So realistically, like I said, this has kind of got me thinking about what life really is. Okay, life again. If you can take all of this and wrap it up into the cell. Okay, like I said, life is the sum of the activity of the cells of our body. Okay, life is in general. Life is the sum of all the activities, of all the chemical reactions of cells. Okay, the activity, the actions of cells, their products that they produce. All right, the individuality of cells, but yet the symbiotic relationship that all the diverse cells of our bodies form to keep us alive. That's life, folks.